This is going to be a look at one Ravens run play from the win over the Jets in Week 1. Of course, we know the run game wasn't that successful. There's been some really bright people commenting on YouTube before. Months ago, two people in my Discord or Patreon, Stacey Van Diver and Godspeed on Twitter said, our run game will be fine without Lamar, but adding Lamar as an element to it, just makes the run game, become really special. And there's some evidence that what some things those people are saying is correct. But what you're going to see here is a counter option play, okay? Typically, the Ravens run their pistol option away from the side of the fullback. There's a couple of reasons for that. One of them is the timing of the dual read that the Ravens ask the fullbacks to do. And when I say fullbacks, like for example here on the left-hand side of the screen, you see Mark Andrews. He lined up at fullback on this play. Pat Ricard went in motion from left to right. He is the actual fullback personnel-wise, but did not align as a fullback in this formation. So I will refer to the fullback as the person who lines up in the backfield. And if you don't understand that, you just need to adjust your thinking. The fullback is the person who lines up in a fullback position. Oftentimes Ricard lines up at tight end. Of course, he is better suited as a fullback for his skills. Well, we know. But the counter option is one that goes to the side of the fullback, and that's kind of an anomaly, like I said earlier. We have historically run it away from the fullback to time up the reads, get an extra blocker on the front side inside linebacker. And one thing to say about our running game in the preseason and against the Jets, we are not getting to the front side inside linebacker enough. We are not. There's certain guys who have a couple of times, but if you don't block the front side inside linebacker on a run play, you're not going to succeed, period. You're just not. And we're not getting to the front side inside linebacker a lot. And one of the things that this counter option scheme does is it forces the front side inside linebacker to be put in conflict. Just so you know, when I say front side inside linebacker, I'm referring to this guy here. Let's watch the play. It's going to rewind a little bit. I'll talk about it. We're going to come back to this one at the end. Andrews is the fullback formationally, and we're running the option to his side, okay? Typically, the way the Ravens would run, ignore Ricard here, the way the Ravens would run the option with the fullback on the left is they would read this guy here. So Lamar would step off the midline and then open his face mask and his chest this way. The back would obviously come downhill. And Lamar and Andrews would read this D end. If the D end slams down, Andrews, or whoever the fullback is in this case, would loop outside and go get the front side inside linebacker. The guy in motion, which in this case is Ricard, would typically go get the safety, or in this case I think it's Quan Alexander, who is technically, you can refer to him as a front side outside linebacker, but he's lined up in an outside linebacker position. It's a stack 4-4 with essentially this guy and this guy being outside linebackers, even though personnel-wise they are not. But then the opposite of that read would be if this D end runs upfield, then Andrews, or whoever the fullback is, would insert inside here and again go get the front side inside linebacker. What teams have done over the years to really eliminate this scheme is just slam down, loop the front side inside linebacker outside, and get in Lamar's face, before this fullback can get there. Make that block occur somewhere around in here. What ends up happening with most of the pistol read options that Lamar runs, he ends up running to the sideline when he keeps it for like a 2, 3, 4, 5-yard gain in some cases. So this one is going kind of against the grain in terms of the tendency. There's the front side inside linebacker now. Why? Because Lamar has stepped off the midline here, so he's clearing his hips for the back to come down. Actually, the back in this case, because it's counter option, the back would be going here, right? And that's what puts this linebacker in conflict, because the play side could be over here, or it could be Lamar keeping it and following Andrews, which is where we know the play went. That's my whole point. When the back and Lamar threaten different sides of the field, I think we have a better option scheme. When they threaten the same side, the side Lamar opens up to, and that's the side, the intended direction that we're going to attack with the running back, I don't think we've been as effective. And I think the evidence shows that. There's the counter option. So Drake is now, veering off this way. This is the D end who went with him. The front side inside linebacker that I referred to is here. He's put in conflict because of Drake's movement in this direction and then Lamar going in the opposite direction. Can we only run counter option? No, we probably got to run both of them. It doesn't appear that we've run a ton of it. Interesting that we have Andrews in the backfield for the one time that I saw us run counter option. Okay, typical option, Boyle on our right, left-hand side of the screen, and we're reading Chris Jones, who's on the right-hand side of the screen. Chris Jones is one of only two guys that I've seen do this a lot, kind of jays this in. So he goes upfield to force a give read, and then once He knows what Lamar's going to do because he knows he's being read. Well, how does he know that? Because the fullback is on the other side. That's the whole point, guys, is that it was predictable for the most part. I would say 90% of our option plays out of the pistol was run to the opposite side of the fullback, in this case, Boyle. Boyle is reading Jones. So as he reads Jones go upfield, which is a give read, Boyle's going to insert and then go get what would be the front side inside linebacker. You know, it doesn't look like they have one on here. They got two safeties here, even though 49's was like a hybrid safety in their defense. But you can see the read that Jones is giving Lamar. Why was he able to do that? Because he understood the fullback is on the other side. They're in the pistol. I am probably going to be the read man. For real, guys, that's how a football player's mind works on defense when they study formations and they're prepared. Now, sometimes we didn't do it with a fullback. This is one of the things that made Willie Snead so valuable, if you ask me. He was capable of the read. And Andrews did this sometimes too by going in motion. So they're reading T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt steps upfield. And what does, Lamar's going to give it, first of all. What does Snead do? Snead has stuttered his feet somewhere around in here, actually a little earlier, and then he inserts inside to go get the front side inside linebacker. Now they've got a safety in here, 34, who, is quite effective for 2 years in a row against us, against a run game. So it's a give. It's not much of a gain, but I'm explaining the concept to you. I'm explaining why the play against the Jets was an anomaly. Because we're running, it would be like running this, the other way, essentially against the motion, because we're going against our tendency. The defenses, I think, are understanding what's happening. Look at now this guy's retired, but he was a much better football player than people gave him credit for. Look at the front side inside linebacker. As soon as Lamar opens to his side, scrapes outside, knows where to fit. He knows where to fit. Heap would have been blocking him, but they had a safety in the box, so he had to go get that safety. And then this is who Snead should get, 98. Well, that's a mismatch in the Steelers' favor. Snead can't block him, period. Didn't attempt to there. T.J. Watt does the same thing that Chris Jones did, jays it in, goes upfield, forces a give read, jays it back in athletically. T.J. Watt, Chris Jones are freaks, so they can get away with that. A couple more examples of the option. Here's the fullback. Where's the option typically going? Now, in this game, we actually did run a counter option play. This is the first time I saw that. 2020 at the Colts, we ran a counter option play to our right, and it was quite effective. In this case, you can see Lamar is following the fullback, which is Boyle in this case. I'm not here to talk about, should we have Boyle on the field? Should we have Ricard on the field? We need if we're going to run these things, we need someone who can do this. I offer to you that we don't need both of them on the field at the same time to get this accomplished. But in any case, there's the read man. If he goes upfield, Boyle would loop inside, go get the front side inside linebacker. Same thing I explained to you a couple minutes ago. If he goes down the line of scrimmage, block down, step down, then he's going to loop outside. Who's he going to get? Front side inside linebacker. That's the concept. Okay, it's designed to block that guy no matter what. You can see he loops outside. Lamar keeps it. There's another linebacker there, of course. So hopefully you guys get the point at this time. I have beat this horse, pretty substantially. We usually run our option play opposite the fullback. Okay, last one, 2020. Steelers got great pursuit here. To the point that I just made a moment ago, you got Willie Snead in motion. Bud Dupree's going to slam down violently. So I think this is Boyle's going to loop outside. Snead is in motion. Who's he got to block? I think it's Williams. I think his name is James Williams. I really liked him, man. He was an underrated player. Hopefully I didn't get his name wrong because I did a video about him like 3 years ago, but Snead is not capable of this block. Boyle misses this block, I think, on Spillane. There's a shit ton of pursuit. And we got to work that hard to get like a 5 or 6 yard gain. Why was that? It's not because the concept isn't a great concept. It's because we were only running it generally away from the fullback. Rarely did we run to the side of the fullback like we did here last year against Chris Jones. Look at the mismatch we've created with Lamar. It really, I have said before that I think it should just be an auto give. If Andrews is going to, move out, Ricard's going to go out. We got 2 lead blockers. Excuse me, it should be auto keep. Just auto keep it. Keep it. The linebackers are going to have to honor the counter, the pulling action of the lineman. They're going to have to honor that. Keep it against the grain of the counter option. It is a beautiful scheme. Me personally, for the team that we have this year, I think we should be moving away from the pistol option. But if we're going to keep it, we got to run the counter option. That's why I was excited about this play against the Jets, even though personally I would be kind of against it. Speed option, a little bit different concept, just so you know. There is no dive threat. Technically, the quarterback is the first downhill threat. And again, we're running this now to the side of the fullback. So Ricard's going to loop outside. Lamar's going to run and read this outside linebacker, stand up the end, whatever you want to call him, edge defender. He's going to read him. I think the video slows down for you so you can see it. Lamar kind of fakes it inside, pitches it perfectly. You can tell that they practice this every day because on the next play that I'm going to show you against the Steelers in 2020, he's doing this to his left. That's one way you can tell if a team is actually a real option team. If a right-handed quarterback is able to pitch the ball comfortably with their left, they're practicing it every day. You can also see it in pregame drills. To be honest with you, you're going to do a pitch drill. That's a pre-practice drill. Pre-game drills, you would see whether a team is practicing left-handed pitches or not. To be honest with you, in my experience, I've actually seen teams show up and only practice pitching with the quarterback with their right hand. It's kind of like, okay, ball on the right hash. We know you're not running option to the field. Anyway, I digress. Read man is Dupree again, unblocked. Boyle is looping outside. Look at the athleticism by 98. Again, he's a retired guy, man. Watch this. Boyle was going to try to cut him, which was Boyle's, patented move of blocking in the open field. Watch that. I mean, that is not freak athleticism in terms of the NFL. He was probably an above-average athlete, according to like RAS and all that stuff. But man, that's pure athleticism to be able to do that in the middle of the play. Back to the Ravens play now. So the difference between some of the ones I showed you and this one is you're going to get some pull away from the point of attack. Drake could potentially get the ball, and you've got, really this is F counter is what it looks like. I mean, technically I would call this F counter because you've got Powers pulling, and then Ricard is just essentially another puller in motion from left to right. So there's also something to be said about, if this guy's going to run upfield, then we're giving the football. That's a give read. And then Drake is following, and we're seeing what's happening over here. But the point is it keeps these linebackers away from Lamar when he keeps it. I think that if we're going to run pistol option, you got to put on film the regular pistol option, which is running the option away from the side of the fullback. And you got to put this counter option play on film in about a 60-40 ratio. So that when you line up, the defense has no good option in terms of shifting their linebackers one way or the other, making a call to one side because we're predictable. In the Titans playoff loss in 2019, they knew which side the option was going to. I didn't use that play for this video. I realize right now I probably should have. There's two instances in the first half of, I think it's David Long, very intelligent football player, pointing at our fullbacks when we're in the diamond formation. And what he was doing was, let me pull this back just so I can do this now. When we were in the diamond formation, one fullback would be like 4 feet from Lamar, and the other one would be like about 1.5 feet closer, so his feet would be there. And David Long literally took his right hand and pointed at this fullback. Why? Because this fullback was lined up closer to Lamar so that they could run the option to the side, and he could loop out if this DN slammed down. Whereas the fullback that was on our left, again, I know it was tight ends that were back there, but positionally they were fullbacks in terms of the formation. He was so wide in his alignment, it was no way he was going to be able to loop around when Lamar got the keep read by the DN slamming down. I know I'm using some option terminology, so if I'm losing some of you guys, forgive me. My point is, not only have we been predictable in terms of where the fullbacks lined up and where the option's running, we've been predictable when there were two fullbacks back there in the diamond formation. This play is kind of exciting for me, even though personally, like I said, I would like to see us move away from the option concepts and keep these things as something that we do later. Having said that, the run game did kind of open up in that second half after we showed this play. In any case, let me know what you guys think of the breakdown. Didn't intend for it to go 15 minutes, but I like talking the option. I have a little bit of experience, around the system. I know the terminology. Would not know, exactly how to teach it, exactly where to tell people, what to look at to read. My time is, almost 100% been spent on defensive stuff. But it is an option-based system that allows the quarterback to make decisions. And what option coaches would say is, we always have the ability to be right. We would always have the chalk last because our quarterback gets to make decisions. And in my opinion, it's not the system that has kind of let Lamar down. It is the predictability of the play calls. And this is just one example. I have others that I have referred to in videos. hopefully I did a good job of explaining this to you. I'd only showed you, I don't know, 6 or 8 plays, but I have hundreds more in the database that we keep. If you're interested, consider joining my Patreon. It's $5 supporter per month, or on YouTube. YouTube, you can be a channel member for $5 a month. Same thing, you will get access to the database where I have hundreds of plays stored up, and you can see it for yourself. You could literally, on a click of a button, click sort option, and you could see all 138 or 128 option plays that I have in the system from 2019 to 2021. Appreciate you guys, checking out the video. If you haven't subscribed, first of all, I'd be surprised if you're still listening, but if you haven't subscribed, please do so now and help me, increase the reach and exposure of this video by considering sharing it on social media. Appreciate you guys checking the video out.